Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. On behalf of OTC Markets, we are very pleased you have joined us for the second day of our Metals and Mining Conference. Our next live presentation is from Lion Copper and Gold. Lion Copper and Gold is a Canadian-based mineral and development company focused on advancing copper and gold projects, primarily in Nevada. Please note, you may submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view our company's availability for one-on-one meetings by clicking the book meeting in the top toolbar. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome John Banning, Chief Operating Officer and Vice President of Lion Copper Gold, which trades on the OTCQB venture market under the symbol LCGMF and on the CSE under the symbol LEO. Welcome, John.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning, everyone. And thank you very much for taking the time to attend. I'm going to share my screen so I can use my pointer for you all. Just wait for a second to see that come through. So yeah, we just wanted to share give you a progress update for the Yarrington Copper Project. Our CEO, Steve Dishler for Lion Copper and Gold, he presented a update, the corporate presentation on this forum about 2 months ago in December last year. And if you haven't seen that, I'd encourage you to have a look. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to greatly summarize that corporate presentation and then let that bring us into focus on our PFS progress. Just encourage everyone to have a look through our forward-looking statements at your convenience. I'd just like to talk about our Yarrington Copper Project pre-feasibility study partners. We have an exceptional team supporting the progress of our PFS. Newton is our funding partner, and they're bringing a vast experience to all the aspects of our PFS. We've got Samuel Engineering, our PFS lead and project manager, and they're supported by AGP Mining, Pito Associates Newfields, Woods Process, and GSI Environmental. This team is incredibly well aligned and laser focused on progressing this PFS forward. The Yarrington Copper Project is located in Nevada. According to Fraser Institute annual survey in 2023, this is the second most attractive investment destination for mining projects in the world. Lots of good reasons for that. Great geological potential. This is a very mining friendly state. Very important on the clear and known and defined permitting process in Nevada. There's a great industry tax rate, lots of great mining infrastructure, and a pretty big mining workforce in Nevada. So in summary, our Yarrington Copper Project, this is a brownfields property project, very near-term production in a Tier 1 mining district. We completed a positive PEA back in the first quarter of last year. This is a low CapEx heap leach project with some pretty great expansion potential. Our location in the Mason Valley with our project and adjacent resources is a great potential for a catalyst on district consolidation. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. And we've got a great funding partner with Newton, a Rio Tinto venture, and we'll talk a little bit more about that earn-in option agreement in some detail later. So the opportunity in the Yarrington district, there's a lot going on in this slide, so I'll greatly summarize what's going on here. Lion Copper Gold has about a 35 square mile land package in the Mason Valley. You can see our MacArthur project here and the Yarrington mine project down here. This is a RPA contemplates these as an integrated project, our two assets here. In about a 7.5-mile circumference from the Yarrington mine, there's the Pumpkin Hollow mine and the Ann Mason deposit and Blue Hills deposit. The Ann Mason deposit is one of the largest undeveloped greenfield projects for copper in North America. And our strategic location here in the valley is pretty essential. The infrastructure corridor runs through roughly north to south this area. This is our conceptual rail spur from the PEA. And we kind of touch all these key points with quite a bit of copper in that radius. There's over 17 billion pounds of copper between Ann Mason, Blue Hills, and Pumpkin Hollow, not counting what Lion and Copper Gold has contemplated in our PEA. There's a lot of community support, lots of experience. We've got great engagement with state and federal governments. Been here a long time, Lion Copper and Gold's been here in the Mason Valley on these projects since 2006. So those relationships are well and truly established. And again, this integrated project contemplated in our PEA, it's large scale, low cost, and an extremely low strip ratio of about 0.3 to 1. Just zooming in a bit from that previous slide. So this is the MacArthur mine, this is the Yarrington mine, and the VLT, which is vat leach tailings from the historical Anaconda workings. These are the three resources that we're contemplating in our PEA project and progressing in the PFS. This is our Bear deposit up here to the northeast, and about 2 miles west is the Ann Mason Hudbay large undeveloped copper deposit. So I thought I'd give you a bit of a visual on what this looks like. We've got the Yarrington mine, the old pit from the Anaconda days. So this was mined from the 50s to the 70s. We've got the vat leach tailings here, which are all, this resource is contemplated in our PEA and we're progressing in the PFS. MacArthur's about 7 miles away. I've got Ann Mason 2 miles to the west, and the Bear deposit sits under this region here. So from the old Anaconda days, we've got their waste rock dump and the tailings storage facility, the sulfide tailings storage facility. Again, the vat leach tails, which was oxide material, and then Arametco's heap leach remaining facilities around this area here. You have a picture of MacArthur mine. So the important thing to remember for this project is these are brownfields. These are not green fields, and because of that, we have a lot of knowledge and information on these. So Arametco mined MacArthur in the 90s. MacArthur is primarily, from a mineral perspective, oxide for us, and mainly made up of chrysocolla. There's a nice shot out here of that, and there's also some minor azurite, as you can see in this pretty nice boulder there. So I'm going to cover off on the mineral resources from the PEA. The important aspect for us is the M&I. So we've got 157 million tons and just under 900 million pounds of copper. The focus here for us moving from PEA to PFS is to improve our confidence in this resource and convert. So we've done some additional drilling, and I'll talk a bit more about that. We did some angle holes. You can see the setup of the drill rig last year here on the northern side of the Yarrington pit, performing that work. This is the MacArthur mineral resource from the PEA, about 300 million tons and about 1 billion pounds of copper. Again, focusing on shoring up this resource for conversion and improvement. in our confidence for the PFS. A fair bit of drilling also done there over the course of last year. So this is a summary of the PEA highlights. It's about a 350 million NPV, initial capex of just over 400 million, and importantly, a very low strip ratio, 0.3 to 1 for 1.4 billion pounds of payable copper, and about a 5-year payback. So I want to take us through the option agreement with Newton, with Lion Copper and Gold. So Newton has application of Rio Tinto's copper leach related technologies. They saw an opportunity here with our project where that could work well. So this is an investment based on achieving key milestones. So the company is going really well with the initial investment and scoping study. So you can see a lot of tick boxes here. So positive scoping study, invested 4.5 million, and that resulted in a favorable scoping study. Then we moved to the next step, and invest $7.5 million, and we had a favorable PEA outcome. And so invested 11.5 million to progress our PFS of our project, and then an additional stage 2C funding package for 5 million. And that's kind of about where we're at now. Doing a PFS delivery June 2025. I think the important thing here is that we're achieving the milestones and getting favorable outcomes, and that is then begetting new and further investment along this earn-in option agreement. I think it's important to outline when you're going through a PFS that the PFS is about de-risking a project, increasing your knowledge and confidence around key aspects of the project, but it's also about identifying and taking the time, identifying opportunities and taking the time to realize those opportunities. I think a lot of the stage 2C investment of 5 million is largely driven by opportunities identified that we needed more investment to understand and be able to contemplate in the PFS. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I just wanted to make the point that opportunities were identified to reduce our footprint and enhance our metallurgical performance. And that was going to take additional investment, and our funding partner was on board to progress those opportunities and vetting those. So now we're into the pre-feasibility study progress. There's a fair bit to go through. I'll go through it at a pretty high level. So a lot of detailed studies underway, again, to optimize and de-risk our project. A fair bit of drilling has been completed at McArthur and Yarrington, targeting, improving our confidence and doing upgrades on the resource. Significant metallurgical testing on oxide and sulfide materials, and mine development, assessing geotechnical inputs, mine design and optimization with improved resources, and a lot of trade-off studies. So we're looking at rail, power, water, heap leach facility, siting, waste rock, etc. A lot of work going into those areas. A big part of the project here for us is this really clean pit lake water. So there's a pretty significant opportunity for our stakeholders on getting this water out of the pit lake and into a position where it can be used by the community. So a lot of studies and investigation goes into that. So we're looking for multiple beneficial uses through returning the water back into the aquifer recharge through rapid infiltration basins, putting this water into irrigation ditches and also into the Walker River. So there's lots of opportunities in there. This is extremely clean water and poses no risk of harm to humans or fauna. So there's a pretty big opportunity there. There's also ongoing opportunity to put excess water from ongoing pumping of the pit back out into the community for beneficial use once we get up and going. A lot of groundwater modeling work, and baseline environmental studies is an interesting one. The Yerington Brownfield site has an extremely well characterized environmental baseline due to the ongoing state remediation studies. And MacArthur is in a similar boat. So MacArthur has been a going concern as a mine in the past. And we've been able to maintain the ongoing required studies for environmental baseline over the last years. We also installed a dewatering and test well. You can see the picture there, right in the middle, basically, of the MacArthur deposit. And that's just simply going to give us an absolute clear picture, in addition to the significant amount of data we already have due to the brownfield nature of the hydrogeology around that area. So we're actually quite a ways ahead of the curve on where a typical project would be on environmental studies with regard to PFS progress. Stakeholder outreach is a big part of our project. Again, we've been here for a long time. We've been here since 2006, and we have established and maintained good relationships with our stakeholders. So to talk a little bit detail about the metallurgical test program. We just got an enormous amount of column testing work. One is phase 1 Newton. 25 column tests or better. The results so far are indicating potential improvement in the met performance with regard to higher copper recovery and lower acid consumption. Phase 2 on the Newton, additional column tests of various sizes and composites. And that's simply ongoing, and that'll be utilized to fine tune the PDC, or the process design criteria for commercial scale operations. And really the phase 2 is the key aspect that informs our operating costs and the cash flow model for the PFS. On the Yerington and MacArthur oxide and transitional material side of things, we have a lot of columns up and running at McClellan Laboratories. And these are indicating similar potential improvements in the met performance and those assumptions that went into the PEA. So again, de-risking, but also identifying opportunities for improved met performance in the project. So a bit of drilling back in 2024, over 3,000 feet at Yerington and over 6,000 feet at MacArthur. The details of those programs were released September 9th last year. And I'll talk a little bit about those later. In our vat leach tailings here that are contemplated as part of the PEA, we've reevaluated drill sampling and looked at additional bench samples, and we've identified potential opportunity for resource expansion and classification upgrade in that area, similar to what we're doing for the Yerington mine and the MacArthur mine drilling resource. Interesting point is that we have over 115,000 feet of core stored on site in a secure storage facility. So that's about 22 miles of core. It's pretty interesting to see it. And I guess the bottom line is this, these resources have been very well drilled or very well understood, and the geological risk is quite low from that perspective. So again, we've got extensive drilling at Yarrington. You can see the additional 4 holes, the angle holes that we did last year. These step out holes identified an extension of mineralization footprint, and upon further review, we were able to bring into our data and modeling 17 additional historical Anaconda drill logs. And we were able to do that because we reevaluated those logs and they were extremely consistent and correlative with our existing model. And so we're able to bring that in and work with the QP to do so. We also use some of that material for pit slope stability analysis and met testing and geochem characterization of the waste for the PFS. We expect to revise the pit shell as a result of that versus our MRE that used in the PEA, and are planning a classification upgrade on the M&I for the PFS. MacArthur PFS drilling, similar story from last year. Lots of good hits in mineralization. 14 of the 18 RC holes that were done were very positive and consistent with what we expected, and further informed and refined our resource. Again, planning of a classification upgrade compared to the PEA, and looking to upgrade the M&I for the PFS. So we expanded our program for the rapid infiltration basin drilling and test work. So this is the aspect where we get that pit lake water back out into the valley for beneficial use. We identified an opportunity up to the north. So this is the Yarrington pit, MacArthur, and this block is expanded, sort of zooming in here. So we did 4 holes out to the north. Those results are, the drilling's completed and we're doing the test work, and that's looking pretty favorable. So that's about returning water, clean water to the aquifer for beneficial use of stakeholders. A big part of the Stage 2C investment was to evaluate on-site locations for facilities and heap leach facilities to decrease our footprint. So what we did was we put together a program of cone pressure testing, or CPT, and auger, about 14 holes across the old Anaconda sulfide tailing storage facility. And we executed that over December and January. And really that's to inform our geotechnical composition and characteristics of that mass, of that tailing storage facility, so we can understand what is required and how we would go about siting a heap leach facility on top of that tailings facility. So that work's ongoing. That significantly would decrease the footprint, obviously. We also conducted a pretty comprehensive offsite geotechnical drilling, trenching, and test work program. So you can see this is the MacArthur mine there, Yarrington. We have about 24 drill and trench locations from the north all the way down and around MacArthur and through our land package. Again, that's to assess basically where's going to be the best place to put our heap leach facilities, waste rock dumps, and other related infrastructure. So before I go to the next slide, I just want to pull together, so all of this information, all of the test work, and the data we're collecting is about bringing the final decisions on where we want to put infrastructure, where the best place, where the minimal footprint is for executing this project. So a lot of work's gone in over the last year and a bit, and all those things are coming together right now as we speak, over January, February, and March. We'll be able to make key decisions and then move forward to pull it together. Just one thing I want to make clear about our project. Our project produces and aims to produce LME A-grade copper cathode. So this is a final refined 99.99% copper product. This is for selling directly into a domestic market that's been in deficit for a long time in the USA. We are not here, and our process does not contemplate producing copper concentrate, most of which gets shipped overseas for smelting and refining. The key difference here is the water consumption. Water consumption to produce per pound of copper cathode through a leach process is significantly less than to produce a copper concentrate. And that's a key part of our project and a key part of our mantra about low footprint copper project and producing a final product in the USA. So this is the last slide, and in summarizing, look, we're here to maximize project value and maximize value to shareholders. And we can do that at the same time that we minimize our footprint with this project and engage with the community and stakeholders for the best outcomes for everyone. That's possible, and we're working towards that. We have a pretty good PEA position right now. We're working hard to improve that position and make sure we have a much higher level of accuracy and understanding, as you would expect, as we move to PFS. Using advanced Newton technologies, again, we can reduce the water per pound produced in terms of consumption and producing a fully refined copper product in the USA to sell into the domestic market. This is a low-cost, low-risk operation. There's lots of drilling into this. There's low geological risk. It's a brownfields mine. There's a very clear path and known path to permitting. We're pretty near term because of the brownfield nature and the advanced nature of the project and the infrastructure. We have a hell of an opportunity to deliver clean water to the Mason Valley through dewatering the pit clean lake water. And we have an opportunity to enhance the cleanup at the site simply because we will apply a modern mine closure plan to a legacy site that simply isn't up to modern standards. And that's pretty much it for my presentation. So what I'll do now is I'll switch over with a couple minutes left for some questions. So we've got a question about key milestones for 2025 and capital needs. It's a great question. Key milestones for 2025 is for us to deliver a robust and high confidence PFS in June this year. And then we'll go through a process with our funding partner, Newton, on progressing. They've invested about $28 million of the $50 million option earning agreement. That leaves about $22 million left to invest. And I think we're confident in our project, and we're looking forward to working with Newton on an additional stage 3 investment, which will fund a PFS to DFS, and kicking that off in 25, but that decision hasn't been made yet. Again, I would refer back to we've achieved all the key milestones. Our funding partner has been happy to continue to invest in our project as a result of those favorable outcomes as to those milestones. Good question. Okay, I don't see any other questions coming up. So I'd like to really thank everyone for their time. And thanks for attending. And please feel free to reach out to me anytime individually to have any further conversations. Thank you and have a great day.